Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Missoula. I'm your host, Scott Ramp. Whew, getting rushing, just getting things started. I have a lot to talk about today. We got some news, a lot of smoke is in the air, a lot of weather that's happening today as well. I got City Council, which I'll be talking about arts involving nonprofits and how they boost the Missoula economy. And this is a meeting that was with Tom Benson. I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. I got some clips from the fair, and I got a little bit of behind the scenes of some of our zombie camp stuff for our summer series kid-made video. So without further ado, let's kick it off with a little bit of weather. So it is currently 59 degrees outside. Your high is going to be 90. Your low is going to be 57. And I just love these pictures because the thing they used for haze is like a cityscape. And it's like, this is Missoula. There's not much of a city here, but it's like, oh, cool. Haze and city. But anyways, Saturday you're going to see most of the haze, and then it's going to be sunny. So hopefully that some of that smoke will start clearing out so you guys can actually enjoy some outdoor time in the sun. Because last night, if you haven't already noticed, when around 7 o'clock or so, the smoke was so thick that you can't even, you could not pinpoint the location of the sun. So this weekend, you can expect highs into the 80s and lows into the 50s and 60s throughout your weekend. And hopefully we'll have some mostly clear skies this week, but we'll still have smoke. That's just going to happen one way or another. So here is a nice look at the map of hazardous conditions and unhealthy conditions. In Missoula, as you can see, we are now red. We are officially in the unhealthy range. Orange is reserved for people who are unhealthy in certain sensitive groups. But be aware that since Missoula is unhealthy today, we usually peak in terms of the particulates that are in the air by the early afternoon, pretty much between 11 and 3 p.m. So if you guys are planning on being out and about around those times, that would not be a good idea. So let's take a look at the map. And this is, as you can see, early this morning it kind of dipped down, but pretty much it shot up as of last night with all the air and just like all the smoke and everything. It just doesn't look that great. Here's a nice little map. As you can see, the PM 2.5. These are all, it's basically just going to go up from 62.5, and it's on a 1 hour average. So yeah, I mean, check this out. It's kind of crazy. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. It's unhealthy. It's crazy. And just kind of here's a little map. And you can get this information by going to mt.gov. You can go look at the Missoula air quality. You can Google it. It's just as simple as doing that. So that's kind of what's happening with your smoke conditions. If any of you guys are planning on going out and about today, be aware that just because you're wearing a mask doesn't mean it really protects you for that long. Most masks actually in the weather usually protect you for about an hour, and that's the kind of the cheap ones that you get from basic grocery stores. So just be aware that most of the time those masks only last for so long before basically dirt kind of collects in those masks and you're basically breathing a dirt mask, just to tell you guys. Anyways, let's talk about some news that are happening in and around the area. I got a nice little warning sheet for you guys, as if the smoke you don't have to worry about. Now you got to worry about some rattlesnakes that are coming in Missoula. So there's been some dry temperatures in Montana. So Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Park has received reports of rattlesnakes in the Missoula Valley in recent weeks and offer safety reminders to hikers and homeowners. Rattlesnakes move down into moist river bottoms during hot, dry periods like we've been experiencing recently, FWP wildlife biologist Christy Du Bois said. This, according to Du Bois, creates a greater risk of human conflicts as snakes spend extra time in yards and gardens in search of cooler temperatures and rodents to eat. Reduce your chances of encountering by wearing tall boots, long pants, being careful where you step, watching where you place your hands around wood piles and rocks, and by sweeping tall grass with a stick before walking through it. But of course, they also mentioned that you should cut your grass as well. So if you have tall grass, they like to hide in tall grass to kind of get into easily shaded areas. Let's see. And also there's other subspecies of western rattlesnakes. There's the prairie rattlesnakes. They have always lived in west central Montana, but have been rarely seen since they tend to be spotty distributed. Compared to the east of the continental divide, rattlesnakes are not aggressive, but will bite when they feel threatened. Their bites are rarely fatal to humans, but all snake bites should be received immediate professional medical attention. And there are rattlesnake vaccines for dogs as well at your veterinarian. So if your dog gets bitten by a rattlesnake, you can go to your vet, and they can provide this. So this is just a nice little warning for everyone who is not already worried about the smoke in the area. So let's talk about some state news. Rather than our forest sliding up, looks like there's a lot of people who are jumping on board for the medical marijuana by getting on people who want to receive their green card in the state of Montana, as the amounts of folks signing up for the medical marijuana have more than doubled just in the last month. So there were a recent report of 17,819 people enrolled in the program as of July this year, according to data from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services. In 2011, there were more than 30,000 people who signed up for some reason, mostly because some anxiety related, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not bad-mouthing people who actually need it for physical chronic pains or anything like that, but I am making fun of people that you do know who's just like, man, I got anxiety, man. I was like, really? Okay, whatever. So back to the facts. According to an article in the Billings Gazette, the program appears to be on another upswing for an average about 1,300 new card holders signed up each month so far this year. The program is set to pay for itself through various fees and new tax on sales by providers. Montana legislators passed a regulatory bill this spring establishing rules that will take into effect by next April. Licensing for marijuana quality testing will become permanent in 2018. Providers with more than 10 patients will also be required to submit to testing. The department will host a public meeting for those rules on August 24th in Helena. That's a Thursday, and that will take place at 1:30 p.m. at 111 North Sanders Street. So if you guys are interested in learning more about medical marijuana in the state of Montana, that's where you need to go. In Helena, 1:30 p.m. August 24th, which is a Thursday, which is 2 weeks from yesterday or 13 days from today. More things that are happening in the news. Of course, in the top stories, there wasn't too much going on there. They're just mostly about reactive kind of stories, nothing too big. A lot of things. In the national world news is that the U.S. today, there's a looming threat of war between us and North Korea. Kim Jong-un is threatening to bomb a U.S. military bases in Guam as part of which is part of the U.S. territories. President Trump has issued tough warnings to North Korea in response. In his latest statement on Thursday, he warned North Korea that things will happen to them like they've never thought possible should the isolated country attack the United States or its allies. Among the many tensions that have risen in the past few years, it seems as though there have been a threat ever so often. The last one from memory was there was a bombing of an island offshore in South Korea mainland, and because of that one movie, The Interview as well was probably the more recent one as well. Many reasons why North Korea would not attack is that the fact that the U.S. and other neighboring countries have kept an uneasy truce for over 60 years, and it's kind of like, why now? And there's so many reasons why this isolated country would not attack in a lot of ways, because they are essentially isolated. So if you really think about it, it's like they want attention, but they don't want to be non-existent. It's kind of weird. It's a whole idea of like kind of respect thing. They want respect through fear, and that's kind of what North Korean Kim Jong-un is trying to do. That's what I've seen, and that's what you always get from a lot of people, how they describe Kim Jong-un and all that stuff. And I got to say, you got to rely on that Dennis Rodman to prevent any kind of nuclear war, because he apparently is buds with Kim Jong-un. So that's pretty much it for our news that's happening in and around the world today. Up next, we got some new programs that are going to be airing on MCAT. So when I come back, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of crappy movies that are coming out this weekend. They might be good, but most of them are pretty predictable. But without further ado, here are new programs. And when I come back, we'll have Pre-Critic.
Well, and I think these kinds of questions are worth thinking about. And it wouldn't have occurred to me until I dug into this research project and started trying to figure out what is the relationship between visual representation, physical experience, and the kind of the spatial politics of public land. And I think another issue that needs to be on the table is public land agencies need to figure out how they want to handle extreme athletes and their cameras, and so the national parks and have rules against base jumping. Yosemite, you're not allowed to base jump, but people do, and I don't know what's going to stop them, but making it legal would, I think the fear is that it would turn Yosemite into a spectacle of death-defying behavior.
And then we would talk about that person then through the years. And same thing, everything in here was it's their friends and it's their family. So to see this work together outside of the house and see it in a gallery situation, it's really amazing to me and to Anya, because she got to work around it too. And so it's nice, because we're all going to go away in the end, but all the friends are going to still be here. So working with Rudy and Leela, because they were a pair, and that extended family, Bob and stuff. I want to add something about that connection between Bob DeWeese and Rudy. Do any of the Lewis and Clark letters still exist?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So this great friendship, they were always trying to one-up each other with what they do. So they would write back and forth as Lewis and Clark. And so, I mean, of course, I saw it from Rudy's side, and we'd wait for the mail because Bob was going to send something back. And here was this script, Captain Lewis, I have lost the Bitterits today, and all this stuff.
I know that there are a lot of faculty in Missoula College who you might think of as they're purely academic, purely instructional. At the same time, there's all kinds of literature coming out of two-year schools as to pedagogy and other things. So research is still part of any kind of instruction.
Okay. Well, I was going to follow up. I thought I'd follow up on that just really briefly. I think the challenge becomes splitting where those activities fall. If you're associated with a graduate program, a bachelor's degree, and an interdisciplinary degree, you are trying to split that person between those different categories and incorporate some portion of their research. And that's something we're still working on, is how exactly that's going to happen. So it's a big challenge that's in front of us right now.
Let's say making dams actually able to hold back the amount of water you might expect in a given year, or moving my house out of a floodplain, whatever. I'm spending money in some way to deal with this. I also want to share my risk. I want to create a large risk pool, because supposing I'm thinking about a really big disaster, not only is it going to affect me, it's going to affect everybody. And so we might as well all chip in together to deal with the cost of that biggest disaster. And we might even want to find sexy ways to incentivize this, that allowing our ways of hedging risk to make people money.
All right, so those are a bunch of the new programs that will be airing on MCAT. Here are a bunch of new movies that will be airing this weekend at your local theaters. Yes, they are making an origin movie, and if you haven't already known what I'm talking about, it's called Annabelle, and the whole idea is this Annabelle is based on a spin-off from The Conjuring, and they made 2 movies, and I think now they're making an origin. And so anyways, I've always been curious when a horror movie franchise goes into an origin, and now we get a chance to figure out how the creepy doll Annabelle was created. Annabelle, creation, follows, yes, Annabelle, creation, follows the violent life of the creation of a doll that evil spirits took over and start to haunt people. And if you are into witchcraft or voodoo, you can see that symbols can be used to protect or harm, otherwise known as a totem. Long story short, something cray-cray happens, and then a yard sale where someone sees the doll and says, I'll take 2. Thus continuing the jump scare movies we've grown to love. Up next, we got not a scary movie, but a movie that's scary, amazing. Jackie Chan kicks off this sequel to a kids movie that basically is about nuts. It's all about nuts. go nuts literally to find out how these little creatures survive as the winner survive the winter as they find an easy way to get enough food for the winner, said winner. I had the pleasure, or should I say displeasure, to actually see part of the first movie, which basically starts off with a squirrel who's just like, I gotta steal some nuts for the winter, and basically just like completely destroys all the nut supplies of all the other forest critters along the way. But what I noticed from the movie is it's the whole ideal is that they all share the same area where they had the food in the first place. It's like animals really don't do that. Animals just kind of find their own spot and they gotta keep to themselves and just get enough food for themselves, and they don't really care about anyone else unless they are raising their young as well. But usually it has nothing to do with that. So anyways, where is it going with this? Okay, so this movie is just basically about a bunch of animals finding nuts, and it's called The Nut Job. It's kind of like a heist film, and something happens. So the first one must be good enough to make a sequel, or they made more money than it took to produce this movie. So anyways, that's why they made this movie. Moving on. A young girl comes of age in a dysfunctional family of nonconformists, nomads, with a mother who's an eccentric artist and an alcoholic father who would stir the children's imagination with hope as a distraction to their poverty. So, that was the description from what I read on Internet Movie Database, which I love, by the way. But let's talk about how crazy this movie will not get as we follow a family going through growing pains. And most movies that do this have a tragic death or an illness that forces a young person to reconcile with their family, and her father, who is an alcoholic, takes the first step into sobriety. But movie logic is basically, as all movies moving forward, whether it be baby steps or you save the world from aliens attacking in the third act climax. The end. All right, so that basically concludes Pre-Critic. Everything that you need to know about these movies is pretty much straightforward from the synopsis. And, there's pretty much only like 7 or 9 different versions of any story, and that's pretty much it, how it ends. Anyways, let's move on. I got a brand new summer series short for you guys, and this is behind the scenes of our zombie movie that we made with Zombie Camp 2017. It's called Dead Tired. I suggest you watch it on YouTube. I won't show it on my show because it's about 18 minutes long. It's a fairly long featurette movie that I suggest you guys go see, but one of the kids made a behind the scenes of our process of making this movie. So without further ado, here's this, and when we come back, we're going to talk about trees and the arts with City Council right after this.
Turn on the orange lights and to see what his room looks like under it, because it.
This part, I don't know what I look like.
Oh, yes, you know. Try it.
So it's you. Dash to the bag. Desperate. Nothing is. I need to walk toward it. There we go. You're a zombie and you're dead. That's
Who's dead?
What's your favorite part about this movie?
Hey!
Watch. 7, take 5. It's fixed.
I'll have half of you run around this way so you can see that dirt path around.
We'll take care of those munchers.
Let's go.
Where's Neil?
I don't know. Let's go find him.
Where's Neil?
He's the guy with long hair and glasses.
Hair? Oh, the curly hair?
No,
No. He disappeared.
it's Neil.
I don't know. Oh, dude, look, this is insane. You can
Right.
get trapped. Oh, wait. Crap.
Okay, bye.
Got myself out.
Oh, that's nice.
Where do you think he is?
Probably over here.
Here, maybe?
No Neil.
Oh.
Look who we found.
And you're gonna tell me whether or not we actually filmed that or not.
When you go slack jawed, we're gonna get a closer shot of you. Action.
I want to say it's scene 5. Yeah, it's probably scene 5. It's like, it was only a solo for before it was. All right, so there's a little taste of Behind the Flush Decay. You guys can watch that anytime on our MCAT YouTube channel. So anyways, here is City Council. I'm going to kick things off with a little bit of, let's see, Parks and Conservation. The project, this project that they're talking about is a joint project between the city and the University of Montana to treat forests at the summit of Mount Sentinel. Entire cost for professional services to thin forest is paid through a grant from MT, DNRC. A request for proposal was advertised in the Missoulian and on the city's website. Following a competitive process, thinning units were awarded to 2 separate contractors based on the cost, experience, timelines, and project approach. Miller Creek Reforestation received 4 out of the 6 units advertised. Financial implications: as part of the DNRC grant, city staff are required to match 25% of the grant award. These match is easily generated throughout the duration of this contract by in-kind labor of city staff to oversee the contract and provide limited forest work in the area. The only cost that the city is time and the equipment costs, which doesn't mean that the city is going to buy anything new. They're going to use some of the supplies that they have available to them, and also award the contracts for the these organizations. That are going to thin out some of the trees that are in the Mount Sentinel area. So here is Morgan Valiant, and he is kind of talking a little bit more about what's happening with this plan.
I think it really is important, and a lot of land managers locally here know that these forests and a lot of these issues that we deal with do not stop at the property boundary, so being able to do these comprehensive projects across boundaries is great. We need more of it.
And Morgan, did you basically provide...
All right, so that was Morgan Valiant expressing how important it is to thin out some of these trees. The forest areas are separated into sections from a bidding process of clear-cutting support that can be do certain areas, while some folks who cannot thin up these trees can actually do a bid to do some of the other areas that some of the other... So it's weird like this. So there's 6 sections. And there were 2 different contractors, and one contractor can do 4 out of 6 of them, another can do 2 out of the 6 of them. but one contractor apparently wasn't able to do all of them, so that's why. I mean, I'm assuming that the one that could do the 2 sections bid first and got rewarded, and then the other one just like, oh, so there's only 4 left, we'll just take them all. That's kind of like how it happens. But of course, they cannot thin some of the trees in certain areas. But of course, they have to select a few without having to agree to do all. So Morgan, he goes on about the necessity of thinning these trees in this next quote.
Goal of this project is not to, we will reduce fuel loads in these areas, but it's not to fireproof, and you can't really fireproof any of these areas without taking pretty extreme measures. I think a lot of thinning that's done, especially pre-commercial thinning, where they're looking at thinning to create good trees to cut into boards later, tries to maximize the number of those large trees on the landscape. What we do is very different than what a lot of thinning does. We are not managing for production. We are managing for old growth. And so what we try to do is mimic natural cycles. We can't burn these areas. From what we've seen, the work that we've done up there, I think there was a burn, maybe 50 years ago or so. There's been a couple little burns, but we basically go in and patch it out and actually make it look more natural, like a fire, where we'll have areas where we'll take the majority of the trees, try to open up some of the canopy. Our main goals for this project, the 2 main ones, are reducing the susceptibility of the forest to pests and diseases.
All right, so that was Morgan Valiant talking a little bit more about why it's necessary to clear some of these trees. Basically, trees necessarily were planted when Missoula was established as a town. There were a lot of trees that were planted, especially in the 60s, and with the urban forestry and all this stuff. Mount Sentinel, there's old pictures of Mount Sentinel, and many of the questions that the city council asked before the bidding was finally awarded later on in this Parks and Conservation Committee meeting is that there are more trees in Mount Sentinel now than there have ever been in basically the natural environment's history, according to Lewis and Clark's history and rendition of written down stuff. So basically, the whole Missoula Valley area is basically the natural environment. It is mostly Bitterroot, prairie land type stuff, very limited trees, and we probably have a lot more trees now than Missoula's ever had. That's just giving a little background of what they were kind of talking about during Parks and Conservation, and also the trees in Mount Sentinel. So they're going to be cutting a lot of trees down, but this is also a way of cutting down certain trees that may be diseased and just kind of thinning out certain areas just to kind of make it a more healthier environment for some of these trees. So anyways, here is the next meeting, and this is Committee of the Whole. Tom Benson gave a presentation about arts and nonprofits and how it boosts the economy. So here is Tom Benson with a nice little opening.
From my point of view, and I think from everybody's point of view, that the purpose of the arts is that they are fundamental to our humanity. They inspire us, they delight us, they often unite us as a people. At the same time, they are often challenging, but in the end, they make us more creative, more productive, and more interesting people in our community. The purpose of this study is also to say, and they're an economic driver. And that's not obviously the fundamental purpose of the arts, but it's a wonderful byproduct. And that's what this is about.
All right, so that was Tom Benson with Arts Missoula, which used to be the Missoula Cultural Council back in the day, but they want Arts Missoula. So it's like Arts! Exclamation point, Missoula. So anyways, Tom Benson, he talks about First Fridays and basically his reflection of First Friday and kind of like how he started thinking that maybe the arts is a great way to put money into the local economy.
In my own experience, I usually try to plan my day so I can take off work a little early, get home, change, get ready to go. Last time, which was just last week, drove down, town, stopped at a gas station, pull out the credit card because I needed gas in the car. Then we found a place to park, wandering around, stopped into 111, formerly Missoula's, and was with my wife, and she likes the earrings there, and so do I, so we bought a pair of earrings. And later we ran into some friends, we go out to dinner, have a few drinks. By the time I get home, I'm pulling out a bunch of credit receipts and realize I've spent a lot of money. None of it has anything to do with art per se, but it has to do with the arts event, which was First Friday Gallery Night. So that's what the audience portion of this this study takes into account.
All right, so Tom Benson is basically giving parallel economics, basically. Just because you go to a free event that's open to the public, but doesn't mean you don't find a way to boost the economy or basically affect the economy in any way. Usually when you're downtown, it's like, I'm hungry, I should go eat. And then you go eat, which boosts the local economy. But you go first and foremost to one thing, and then the second thing is by basically purchasing this. So it's a really interesting study for sure, and I thought I was really interested in this as I started listening more and more to this meeting. But I'm giving you just the little tidbits. I suggest you watch this whole thing. It's very exciting at the Committee of the Whole, especially if you're an artist here in town and you're just like starting to think that maybe it's like, oh, arts is, I don't make enough money with the arts. But also, it's a nice way to think about if you're an artist and you also have a side hustle to earn money along the way, whether it has anything to do with the art at all. So anyways, 341 regional study on how the economy is affected by showing up for one thing and paying for another. That's like the old cereal and milk parallel economic dynamic. You eat cereal, but you need milk. Oh, hi, milk. I didn't see you there. So the whole idea is that it's like it streamlines it, so they try to keep the milk closer to the cereal. So it's just like, oh, that makes sense to put milk in cereal. But they're two different products, so that's kind of the whole idea. Is like they're not mutually exclusive and mutually necessary for one another, but it's one complements each other. So that's the whole idea between arts and the economy. And that's basically what I learned from this meeting. But here's Tom Benson. He's talking about how much the city of Missoula makes because of these nonprofits and these free events that gather people.
It's a $54 million industry in Missoula, and I passed around a card, a double-sided card that has a lot of this information in there. And that $54 million is divided, $20 million in the organizations themselves and $33.6 million from audiences. I was happy that the breakdown, that sort of 60-40% breakdown between audiences and organizations, pretty much mirrors what the national average is too. So we weren't coming out of left field with that statistic. So that was very, very encouraging. So who are these nonprofit organizations? One thing, nonprofit arts organizations, it's a very decentralized industry. There is no CEO, there is no annual report, there's no shareholders to talk to, anything like that, and pretty much every organization is doing its own thing. So who are these folks? Well, here are some of them. And you probably recognize just about all of them. And in the backdrop is River City Roots Festival, which is coming right up, which was also part of our study as well, being part of the Downtown Association, which is a nonprofit as well.
All right, so those are many of the nonprofits, as you can see right there, that contribute to some of that parallel economic. Just because you don't spend money directly doesn't mean you don't advance the economy in some way in the Missoula area. So enough of let's talk a little bit less about the business side, but also according to Tom Benson and this presentation, 1,913 jobs are supported by the arts, but most of the Missoula economic growth is from the hospitals. Missoula's biggest economic drive is Medicare and medical stuff as well. $4.4 million go back into the state and local levels every year, courtesy of the arts. Most of the attendees and of course he also, like in the United States alone, there's billions of dollars that go into the economy through arts as well. So, but I'm not going to get to that. I'm going to try to stay within Missoula in this report as well. Most of the attendees of these events tend to go to more events that are free, but have a tendency to spend more when they don't have to pay to get into these certain events. So a lot of ways is like if you pay to go to an event, it's like, okay, I already paid so much money to go to this event, I'm not going to pay for a little bit of this and that. And then when you go to events that's for free, it's just like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, might as well get something here since I saved the money that I could have spent on going here. So, and a lot of times most people don't know that they spend more money on things while being there than actually paying to be there. So it's a very interesting dynamics between that. And also he was talking about the tourism versus residents here. Non-tourists spend less, but tourists actually spend 3 times more for events than people who live here. So I think that's pretty interesting. But of course, you can watch the full meeting. It's Committee of the Whole. You can log on to ci.missoula.mt.us. You can Google City of Missoula, and it'll give you a link to this website. It's a great resource to find out what's happening in Missoula. You can find out what you're doing with your government. You can learn how to apply for city jobs, permits, licenses, and all sorts of things through the City of Missoula. So that basically includes everything that you need to know what's happening in the City of Missoula. Also, the city tasked MCAT, that's us, with covering some of the things from the fair. So I have a nice little piece from the Missoula Western Montana County Fair. So Western Montana Fair, which is the Missoula County Fairgrounds. Sorry, getting those two mixed up really often, especially in this video that you're about to see. So here's a couple highlights of some of the fair stuff that you guys have missed but still have a chance to go check out this weekend as well. But also it's also really smoky, so Saturday might be the best day to do it. But here is something that you got, some of the things that you guys missed, and when I come back I'm going to talk about some of the events that are happening this weekend. Hey guys, how's it going? MCAT is here live at the Missoula County Fair here at the Western Montana, actually the Western Montana State Fair.
People come down to the fair because it's fun and it's awesome and you puke. Oh my goodness. Let's go on a ride.
Definitely one of my favorite events at the fair for sure. Circle thing too.
Yeah, she won't go on it.
You don't like those rides?
I'm a fan. I gotta get into the mojo of it. And 39.
Less, and some years you buy more, and some years you buy a more expensive cow, and sometimes you don't even buy a cow. So like it just like it's different every year.
And we'll be getting a couple more live cut-ins, and I'll have a nice little highlighted video of everything that happened Wednesday. So it's more of like a post what you guys missed out on Wednesday. But of course, you guys still have plenty of chances to go check out the fair today, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday, where me and Johanna will hopefully cover the demolition derby that's happening as well. So without further ado, here is, I keep on saying that, I gotta stop saying that. Here are some events that are happening in and around Missoula. This Friday morning, there's a fundraiser book sale starting at the Orchard Home Country Life Club. And this is a members only preview Friday morning at 9 a.m. And you can join them at the door for $5. Then the general sale starts at 10 a.m. So if you guys are interested in this, it starts now. And you guys, it'll be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Same time, Saturday, 10 to 6. Sunday, it's 10 a.m. to noon. It's closed for half an hour to finalize sales. And then again from 12:30 to 3. And there's a $5 bag sale. Bags are provided. If you have a green ribbon bag, you may use the bag sale for the same price. So the whole idea behind this is like you fill a bag, their quote-unquote bag, with the amount of books, and it's only for $5. So if you get a bunch of small books, you can put a bunch of them in there as well. So that's what's happening in the Orchard Homes Country Life Club. Nice little fundraiser. It supports the Green Ribbon Books and the literacy programs, and they can pick donations, and they can drop off between Thursday and Sunday morning at the Country Life Club. And you can contact Mark Hay at 406-855-6721. Preschool playgroup is happening at the Roots Acro Sports Center. This is from kids who are walking to 5 years of age, and this is about an hour long, so it's not too long. And this is $8, and then of course $12 for siblings, and it's a favorite of kids and parents alike. This is the gym with a playground. They have fun station activities throughout the gyms. Parents and children choose activities that are interested in. Obstacle courses, pit games, trampoline time, swinging, sliding, climbing, and playing on an inflatable. Every time you come in is a new fitness adventure, and I believe they have a foam pit too. So everything's padded, everything's safe, and it's a great way for kids to run around in a safe environment. Candy DNA at that Spectrum Discovery Center. So if you're not interested in the physical stuff and you're looking for something a little sweeter, Spectrum Discovery is the place for you, starting at 11 a.m. They do learning Candy DNA. It's going to be great. Carnival rides at the Missoula Fairgrounds. Things really start kicking off at around 11 a.m. and pretty much go on all day long and until about maybe 11 midnight. They usually don't have an end time. What I've noticed, it seems like they just keep on going on forever. But that's what's happening. There's a kiddie rodeo happening at 12:30 at the Missoula Fairgrounds. The Missoula Stampede Royalty kiddie rodeo included Bucky and stick horses. The Canine Stars is a Missoula Fairgrounds. One of my favorite events, as you saw from that video that I showed you guys from the fair highlights, is that I love those diving dogs. Those dogs just fly long distances, long jump, high jump to catch that thing while diving into that pool, and it's just a beautiful sight. And they'll be performing on the West Lawn at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. Chicks and Chaps is a nonprofit here in town, and they're going to be at the Missoula County Fairgrounds at 2 p.m. Over the past 10 years, they have raised tens and thousands of dollars for local women battling breast cancer, and they're proud of the fact and thrilled to be hosting their 10th annual Chicks and Chaps events in conjunction with the Western Montana Fair and Missoula Stampede PRCA Rodeo. And you can join them for a fun-filled afternoon with rodeo cowboys, and the signature is Women Only Rodeo Clinic. So if you're a young lady, a young up-and-coming cowgirl, that would be the perfect place for you guys, starting at 2 p.m. at the Missoula County Fairgrounds. Aerial acrobatics is going to be at Missoula Fairgrounds. This is where they do like silk roping, silk climbing, all sorts of things, and it'll be performed by Mask, which is also a nonprofit here in town, which does a lot of art, dance, climbing, just all sorts of aerial, beautiful, wonderful things. Basically, that will make anyone that's in, I guess God, I can't think of their name right now, but it's a very amazing show, very visual, and you see people climbing up giant silk, hanging from high surfaces, and people do like dances and stuff. So it's a great. I'm not giving enough credit like at all. Carnival. No, is it Carnival? I don't know. I'm gonna be like interrupting myself throughout this whole show for this. World of Broadway is coming to the MCT, courtesy of over 200 kids who were chosen out of 65,000 across the nation and the world. There's some people from around the world, and it's the World of Broadway. This amazing showcases young talent, which will take place August 10th, 12th, at the MCT Center for Performing Arts. So they already did it last night, which was completely sold out. Tonight they're going to do it. They're going to be having 3 shows on Saturday, and then I think 2 shows on Sunday. So you guys have plenty of chances to check it out. It's crazy, and it's a bunch of talented kids who worked at a sleepover lake camp for over 2 weeks just for this show. 10 hours a day of work, basically, for 2 weeks, and you get to see the show. And I haven't talked to anyone who's been there, so I'm not sure how it is, but I'm sure, it's great. They have the PRCA Rodeo as part of the nationwide Ram Rodeo Series. The Pro Rodeo is one of the most exciting events at the fair. The Missoula Stampede Rodeo dates all the way back to 1915, and the tradition continues today with men and women's Professional Rodeo Association contestants competing for points that will carry them through the Wranglers National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas. In 2017, the Ram Rodeo contestant will compete for over $40,000 in pursuit of money as part of the All-American Pro Rodeo Series. Each night, cowboys compete for a bareback riding, saddle, bronc riding, bull riding, steer wrestling, team roping, and tie-down roping. Professional cowgirls compete in the WPRA barrel racing. And that's basically what has been happening all week long. They're going to have it again tonight. They'll have some more stuff, and they'll be crowning all the winners Saturday at 2 p.m. for the royalty, Stampede royalty. So a lot of the cowgirls who went there to not only look good, but also do cattle roping, riding, and all that stuff will be getting crowned at 2 p.m. on Saturday. So that basically concludes everything that you need to know what's happening on Friday. There's a lot going on Friday. I have a new art clip for you guys. And here is an art clip courtesy of Keith Greedhard, A Portrait of Atlas. And this is going to be at the Missoula Art Museum. Welcome back. Let's continue some events that are happening on your Saturday. So markets are going on from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tomorrow, you can expect some of that haze to start clearing out a little bit. You might actually see the sun happening tomorrow as well. So there's a strength team that's happening at the Missoula Fairgrounds starting early morning and at 8:30 a.m. at the Missoula Fairgrounds. The strength team will perform amazing physical feats as they share their motivational thoughts. Check out their website for more information. You have a financial fitness class with Homeward. This is a free financial fitness class. This is happening from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you're looking to buy a house and you're a first-time home buyer, Homeward is the best place to basically help you save money and navigate loans to figure out the best way and best option to buy a home. So static electricity is happening at the Spectrum Discovery Center. I want to mention this because Spectrum does a whole lot of stuff, but I love static electricity. And what they usually do is they have a nice little orb, and they make you put your hand in an orb, and your hair just like flies up. It's ridiculous, and it's going to be great, and that's going to be at the Spectrum Discovery Center. A singular point of view, paper arts with Odette Grassi, and this is going to be at Living Arts of Missoula. So Living Arts of Montana is a drop-in Saturday workshop with artist Odette Grassi. It's offered free of charge for adults 18 and over dealing with an illness or loss. No experience necessary. For questions, please call 549-53 to 9. And you can tap into your creativity and discover your inner artist in a comfortable and nurturing environment. Take a break from whatever is burdening you and experience some you time. Express thoughts and feelings you might not express anywhere else. So this is a great way, and you can look it up by going to livingartsofmontana.org for more upcoming events like this. And this is from 10:30 to 12:30 p.m. So it's 10:30 in the morning to 12:30 noon. So Saturday Family Art Workshop, paper making, is going to be at the Missoula Art Museum. Missoula Art Museum does a whole bunch of workshops and creativity stuff happening most Saturdays. But starting at 11 a.m., you'll get to work with blenders and paper pulp and various decorative tidbits such as flowers, leaves, and sparkles to create paper that is a work of art. Saturday Family Free Workshop. Enjoy an opportunity to work with your child on a creative project. Older children may delve into projects on their own, but parents are asked to stay and work with the children who are under the age of 7. Drop in for all workshops free of charge on a first-come, first-served basis. You have the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Kid event is happening at the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. You can do a laser shot. Try our new Pin the Antler on the Elk for more. It's a free event that's happening from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Missoula County Fairgrounds is doing a great chili cook-off, and this is sponsored by Ace Hardware. So the whole idea is they do a chili cook-off, and these kind of events are great because they have no pre-registration, and you bring your food item on the day, and daily prizes are awarded for winners in each competition. They'll be drawing for grand prize winners of the week on Sunday following the chocolate competition. So you get to find out who all won all these competitions after their chocolate competition on Sunday. And that's happening around 3 p.m. on Sunday. So you got Ben Eater, Etheridge Show Shuttle. The Montana Adventure Shuttle is going to be taking people to the amphitheater. So if you guys are interested in going to the amphitheater for a show tonight and you need a nice little shuttle, the Adventure Shuttle is doing a 6 seats are available to ride the shuttle, and the show at the Kiddo House Amphitheater. Pickup times are at 6:10 at Dorn Blazer Park and Ride Lot. $8 per person for comfortable air-conditioned ride and free bottle of water. Shuttle will return to the amphitheater between 9 and 9:30 p.m. for a return ride to Missoula after the show. And you can see links by going on to Montana Adventure Shuttle. You can call them at 406-493-2345 for more information. Once again, the rodeo is happening again Saturday night as well. So tonight and tomorrow night, they're going to have a PRCA rodeo with all sorts of wonderful things: horse riding, horseback riding, bareback riding, cattle roping, all sorts of wonderful things that are happening. And you can find out more information by going to MissoulaEvents.net. But here are some of your night events that are happening tonight. I skipped over it, but here are some of the night ones. At the Badlander, Dead Hipster presents I Love the 90s Dance Party. So if you're a child of the 90s and obsessed with the 90s, like most people I know, why? I don't care, whatever. It's a time, it's nostalgia. I'm not much for nostalgia, but if you are, 90s Dance Party at the Badlander is happening tonight. Idle Ranch Hands is going to be at Union Club. They're a cover rock jam band. You got JD and the Western Front at Sunrise Saloon. It's country band. The Hasslers is folk rock at the Top Hat Lounge. Saturday night, you have Absolutely with Chris Moon at the Badlander, DJ music, karaoke at VFW, Showdown at the Sunrise Saloon, which is country music. So they're having 2 different country bands playing on Friday and Saturday night at the Sunrise Saloon. So Ryan Cryers and the Rough Cuts is going to be at the Top Hat Lounge, and it's going to be rock music. So there's going to be a very busy weekend between the fair, a bunch of amphitheater shows. Big Sky Brewing is doing a couple shows from what I've been hearing. I think it's brewery days and whatnot, but don't quote me on that. Just really bad. But there's just so much going on. MissoulaEvents.net is a great place to find out more information about this and that. But you can always look up MissoulaCurrent.com, which also talks about a lot of things happening. The Missoula Independent is also a great resource where they talk about a bunch of music events that are happening this weekend as well. But you guys stay... I don't want to say you shouldn't go to the fair, but I'm also saying that you should be aware that there is a lot of unhealthy conditions with the air quality. So if you guys do plan on going outside, be aware that it's smoky and it's unhealthy. It's not unhealthy for sensitive groups. It's pretty much unhealthy for everybody. But it's at the low part of the unhealthy. So if you are a person who is sensitive to the air quality, do not go outside. Just not at all. If you have asthma or you have a young kid, you should not take them outside. Like, young kids are more susceptible to air quality than us adults. So just letting you guys know what's happening this weekend. But good news is that you should see it's going to be partly cloudy tomorrow, not much smoke or haze. It seems like there's going to be some kind of thing happening with the weather, pushing a lot of smoke out of the Missoula area, if only for a brief amount of time. So Saturday may be the day that you guys want to get out and about, especially to check out the fair, go out and about. But also, just because you're out and about, you shouldn't worry about rattlesnakes, because according to the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, there's been a higher amount of rattlesnake sightings in the area. But don't worry, if you get bitten, go to the doctor right away. If you have a dog that gets bitten, all the vets have all the vaccines all ready to go. So you guys are pretty much covered. Fish, Wildlife, Park sent out a release to pretty much everybody. So just be aware of everything that's trying to kill you. So thanks for joining me. And for Wake Up Missoula, I'm Scott Ramph. Subscribe to Wake Up Missoula. And also find out more information about MCAT by going to mcat.org. So for Wake Up Missoula, I'm Scott Ramph. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next Wednesday.